This is the Global Economic Commodity Scrap Metal and Recycling Report by our Bentley roll-off trailers and gondola trailer scrap haulers, May 2nd, 2022. U.S. weekly crude steel production rose to 1.784 million tons on slow U.S. growth, while cheaper imports are taking market share. The U.S. dollar index, which is the U.S. dollar versus other global currencies. When the U.S. dollar goes up, commodities priced in dollars typically go down. It rose to 103.1 just off Thursday's 19-year high. Higher U.S. interest rates brings a higher dollar. WTI crude oil price rose to 104.69 a barrel as there is more pressure on countries to ban Russian oil. U.S. weekly crude oil production was steady at 11.9 million barrels per day, up less than 1% in the past 4 months. This is as oil companies are resisting increasing production so they can maintain higher prices and near record profits. The U.S. weekly oil rig count rose slightly to 552, and the slow increase in rigs will eventually bring an increase in production. Scrap steel number one HMS price was steady at $5.10 a gross ton, but estimated to be down $50 gross ton, or maybe a lot more this week. The strong U.S. dollar is bringing cheap scrap imports and less exports. Hot rolled coil steel price fell to $72.04 per hundredweight, which is $14.41 a ton on slow economic growth and lower scrap prices. Copper price fell to $4.39 a pound on the stronger U.S. dollar. Also, China lockdowns and the end of a Peru worker protest. Aluminum price fell to $1.48 a pound, which is $32.61 a metric ton on the same strong dollar, China lockdowns, and slowing global growth. China April NBS Manufacturing Purchasing Managers Index. It fell to 47.2, the second straight month of contraction. This included factory activity fell at the steepest pace in over 2 years. U.S. economic growth Q1 GDP fell 1.4%, primarily due to the record trade deficit we'll talk about in a minute. Also, there was a decline in inventory investment and reduced government spending. The U.S. trade goods deficit rose to a horrific $125.3 billion for the month, a new record despite increased oil exports by the U.S. This was driven by increased imports of industrial supplies, oil, and consumer goods. U.S. exports were up to a record, and it was up 7.2%, but imports were also up a record, and they were up 11.5%. U.S. March new home sales fell 8.6% from February. This is not good economic news. It was caused by higher home prices and higher interest rates. U.S. April U of M consumer sentiment was revised lower to 65.2, but still up over March. Current conditions were revised higher, but concerns over inflation and interest rates remain. Wall Street's Dow Jones Industrial Average fell 834 points to 33,811, the worst April in 22 years. This was on higher interest rates, high inflation, and the China COVID concerns. Need a new roll-off truck? Want to save $150,000? I'm not kidding. Literally save that. Buy a Bentley Super Mini roll-off trailer, which is powerful and short. A true roll-off truck replacement with most of the same components as our 154,000 GVW 8-axle Michigan trailers. It carries more and is more maneuverable than a roll-off truck. Call us for a quote. As always, feel free to call or email me with any questions, and we hope all have a safe and profitable week.